This quick video is to go over the last two problems on the pre-assessment for interpreting multiplication and division. So on line 4, you have the calculation 3 divided by half. So let's look at some of the stories you came up with. So this one was pretty tough. I have one here highlighted in green, and it's a little bit complicated. So I'm going to start by looking at some of the ones that were incorrect. So for this one, Leo has 3 baseballs. He cuts each of them in half to see what's inside. He accidentally throws half away. How many of the 3 does he have left? This problem is very close to being correct. You'll notice we have 3 baseballs. Our problem starts with 3, the whole number 3. And we're dividing, and this student uses the words cuts them. So those match. Cuts, divides, splits, that all works for division. And you're splitting them in half. And you see that he's splitting the baseballs in half. The problem is then he brings in accidentally throwing some away, and that would be subtraction or taking away, which we only have one operation here. It's just one division, so splitting them in half was good enough. The question he needed to ask was how many baseballs are there now? And now, since they have been split into 2 or divided into half, there are now 6 baseballs. So this student was very close. This one right here was a very common mistake that I saw. Brandon has 3 apples and he eats half of it. You'll see this word of in this problem. So this is saying, what is half of 3? And that's different from division in this problem. So half of 3 would be 1.5. This is 3 being split into half. So this was a common mistake for this one. This one is looking at scoops of ice cream, and we want to share it with 5 people. So we're trying to share it with 6 people altogether. So that's a hint of what the answer is going to be. So Kate decides to cut the scoops of ice cream in half. How many pieces of ice cream are there? So now by cutting these 3 scoops in half, you've doubled the amount of scoops. There's 6 scoops. All right, let's take a look at your pictures for this one. Oops, let me hide the names. I really like this one here on the far right because it's labeled, so you can see 3 holes by the rectangles, and it's being split in half, and you can see there's very clearly 6 pieces now. Some students use circles. Down here you see some circles. Those all work. And then finally, the answer to this one was 6. So 3 divided by half is 6. Let's take a look now at the very last row. Remember, this was half divided by 1/4, even though you don't see it here. Half divided by 1/4. So let's take a look at some of these. Here's a story that I like that someone came up with. There is half a cake and it's being cut. So we see the word cut again for division. Also words like split or divide even. So half of this cake is cut into 1/4 pieces. How many are there? So that one worked really well. There's a couple more you can read down here. I had half of a donut left and I split it into 4ths. How many pieces are there? I cut a pie into 4 equal pieces. I eat half of the whole pizza. How many slices do I eat? That one's a little bit different, but it works. Amy cut half of a piece of paper into 4ths. How many paper snippets will there be? So for this one, let's jump to the visual. I think that will really help for this understanding this one. So I really like these 2 drawings here. So they're showing half. You can see it in red here, and you can see it in yellow, and you can see it being split into 4ths. So here's the 4ths, and if I look in this half split into 4ths, there's 2 pieces now, and you can see that in here too. There's 2 pieces. In someone's problem, they talked about half of a piece of paper. So imagine this is actually this one right here. Imagine this is your paper, and you have half of it, and you're splitting it into 4ths. Now you have 2 pieces. All right, and last but not least, the answer is 2. All right, I hope this helped with some of these tough division problems involving fractions.